hardest and craziest spam levels in Geometry Dash. In this video, I'll show spam levels from level 1 being very easy to level 100, which is impossible. But let's start off with level 1. While it looks pretty hard, you don't need to do anything to pass this spam since it's automatic. Level 2 isn't much harder, since here you just hold to pass the spam. Just like level 3, where it's harder to die than to not die. Level 4 is a bit more special, since it starts off with some easy ship spam, but after a while you get baited into a jump scare. Spooky. For the next two, we got slightly harder spam, where you actually have to use your fingers for a bit, but still not too bad. Level 7 requires you to have one of your brain cells unlocked, since you can't randomly spam, timings are required. This one requires you to click 3 times a second, and the following level makes you survive these obstacles if you click 4 times in 1 second. The same goes for level 10, which still is extremely easy. Before we get to level 11 however, I have to talk about something even more interesting. Raid Shadow Legends, today's sponsor. This game has 700 really cool champions you can play with, each having different abilities. Look at me using this guy for example that destroys everyone. You also have different factions you can join. One with dwarves, lizard boys, or even incredibly hot elves. Another big reason to install this game. You can play this game by PvPing other players around the world with modes called Classic, Tag Team and a newly added mode called Live Arena. And that's not all, since there are also dungeons with giant bosses you need to defeat to get some juicy loot. As you can see, this game is constantly getting updated and getting better and better, so it's worth a shot trying it out. You can play it on your desktop or on your phone, so go create a team of warriors and champions to destroy the competition of your 400 million competitors that play this game. I especially like this champion Big On, just look how cute looking he is. Definitely my favorite champion in the game. If you haven't been watching Raid Call of the Arbiter, which rock have you been living under? The limited series is well and truly on their way, so be sure to check it out. There's also a bunch of brand new content on Raid Shadow Legends related to the Call of the Arbiter, including a free legendary champion, the mighty orc warlord Artak. All you have to do to get him is log into Raid for 7 days between now and July the 24th. Easy. This orc is amazing for taking on all kinds of content in Raid, so grab him while you can. Don't forget to keep up to date with Raid Call of the Arbiter on YouTube, there's a lot more awesome stuff coming. With all of this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, what are you guys waiting for? Guys, use my link or scan the QR code right here and get a free starter pack with cool in-game loot. Back to the video. Level 11 looks really hard, but these spikes are way more chill than you think, since you cannot die to a big part of them. For the next one you need to click 10 times in 1 second, but don't worry, you can't die to anything. It is a little difficult to get all the 3 coins though. It also is pretty long, unlike the spam in the level God Eater. Here you only need to tap 5 times, but it can be confusing when to click it sometimes. Level 14 is weird, since sometimes you die to this weird level and sometimes you beat it. Only 8 clicks per second are required to beat the level spam to win, with no skill being involved. Just like this level that can be defeated by clicking 10 times per second. In the following level you need to watch out, since you can click too fast here. If you click around 10 to 11 times per second on average, you'll beat it most of the time. This one is called Curvy Wave Spam, which is a wave game mode that looks really cursed. Still, here it looks completely normal. As you can see though, stuff is getting harder from here, and it will only get worse. The most popular UFO spam challenge is this one, for which you need 14 CPS, aka clicks per second to beat it. Still, no skill is involved, which can't be said about level 20, which is a ship challenge that gets tighter and tighter the further you get into the level. The deadlocked wave spam still is a bit harder than level 20, since you can't randomly spam your mouse and actually need to control your icon to not die to the obstacles. When you hit this key in True Chaos's wave challenge, a wave challenge that initially is pretty easy, now becomes a lot harder, since now it's sped up but still doable. In this easy demon by JF, you need to hit all these boxes. If you click too early, you'll die, so you got to time your spam correctly. This short orb spam part is harder than you think. Out of all the 100 times I played it, I only beat it 5 times. This challenge still ranks higher though, where you need to click 15 times per second to unlock a wall. Level 26 is odd, because you can only do what YouTuber Hillweb did by doing a method called drag clicking. With this method you can spam very quickly and reach an amount of clicks that surpass what a normal human can do. The following spam puts you in a duel mode under a layer of spikes. You need to keep clicking at the same speed to not hit these. This dash orb right here requires to be clicked at least 10 times a second or you'll die to this pointy spike below you. Just like the blocks in this level can kill you when clicking too slow. You only need to spam twice really quickly here to pass the level. The spam in this UFO challenge is very tough. You need to click 17 times per second here, just like another level where you need to click 15 times a second. Black Blizzard is an extreme demon with a hard final ship part. But what if you convert this ship part into a wave part? Well, this will happen and it's pretty dang hard. What if you add the two most annoying things in the game together? Spam and shake triggers. You'll get to this abomination of a spam challenge called Shake Spam. This 3-star easy rated level is secretly an insane demon. After passing some parts in the level, you get teleported to this wave spam part where you need to perform brutally hard wave gameplay. Basically the same as the final part in Stereo Madness, transformed into a hard spam challenge. Brutal. The UFO part in Cold Sweat makes you spam with a lot of flashing lights. And here you can't spam the entire time, since there are some parts where you need to release, making this pretty hard. But if you think this destroys your fingers, check this 2-minute long spam out. You probably won't have a finger after beating this. Even worse is the only rated spam challenge to ever exist. You have to click 19 clicks per second for 1 minute here. The wave spam in Heartbeat reaches level 39, switching between mini and normal wave the entire time. The easiest spam ever is what Cemetery named their level. It's far from easy though, as you can see. The next wave challenge starts off easy, but keeps getting harder and harder until to a point where it gets a little harder than level 40. This short spam challenge is incredibly hard, even though you barely need to spam. You need to perfectly avoid the blocks here, which I couldn't do no matter how hard I tried. But let's switch to something very satisfying. In this level you need to click exactly on the beat of the music, but it still is harder than you might think. Or what about this orb spam part in the Big Black, where you need to click at a fast and consistent speed to not die to these spikes above you. We're almost halfway with this insanely looking wave spam challenge. It gets a lot easier though, since you can beat this more easily when playing on 15 FPS, making the timings easier. This controlled spam also is insane, but nothing special. Just like level 47, deadlocked with 500 clicks, level 48, a robot challenge where you need to do very light taps to not hit any of these spikes, and level 49, the last possible spam in Kai Guy's difficulty challenge. We are now on the halfway point with a challenge where you need to click 10,000 times in total for around 10 minutes. Sounds very fun. This curvy wave challenge here probably isn't that hard. It's just the fact that it's almost impossible to make the curvy wave game mode fly between these spikes cause there are so many bugs. Next up we got this epileptic spam part in the level Punch Drunk and the spam challenge in which you need to click 20 times per second. Just like level 54, which just looks a little harder. This lucky spam level here is the tiniest spam level I have ever seen. How do you even pass this gap? It is around 1 second long, just like a level named 1 second, which is almost impossible to do for me. As you can see, we are getting into serious territory now. This level is called 10 times speed spam, which when opening it is very easy, but it isn't 10 times speed. If we actually make it 10 times speed with hacks, the level becomes super hard all of a sudden. This looks impossible. With a method called drag clicking, you can make this doable however. Level 59 is a compilation of all possible spamming methods all put together in one level, and all these game modes are pretty dang difficult. Level 60, another completely luck-based challenge over which you don't have any control. So let's get into something that requires actual skill. This invisible challenge requires you to click perfectly between wolf blocks you cannot see, which is a little bit easier than this spam level, where you can see the spam but the skill required to pass it is harder than our previous entry. Look at this, a corridor of spikes that looks impossible to pass. Still, player Nucleus somehow was able to defeat it. Heaven Spam is a level where you are not playing with one, but two players at the same time. Both players need to avoid these walls. You need to click 10 times per second perfectly for around 2 seconds. Another duel that's even harder is called Double Down, with instead of the wave being a normal wave, it now being a mini wave. Level 66 is not as hard as some of the previous levels, but still reaches the spot because of how impossible it looks. Level 67 to level 70 are pretty tough looking, but none of it is really interesting, which quickly changes when getting to level 71. This level looks absolutely nuts. Just watch it in 0.5 times speed to see how insane every click is. Do you still remember the box clicking mechanism from level 23? Well, someone did this in 10 times speed. What the actual fuck? The hardest swingcopter challenge in the world, a custom game mode, is this level, where you have to maneuver between these spikes to survive at a rapid clicking speed. We follow the spam up with a weird spam challenge. Here you have to click extremely fast to move between these cube portals, which I can't even do at 0.2 times speed. In this one, you have to control your clicks for 16 seconds straight, and you need to click 30 times per second. And we finally make it to the top 25, where some of the hardest spam ever done is mentioned. Spam Legend is a level with 13 clicks you need to perform perfectly in a row, but this alone wouldn't make it into the top 25. A new version of this level was actually made, where you needed to defeat it 100 times to pass the level, which someone actually did. When you see this one, you probably think, oh webbo, that's easy. Well, you have to fly between these souls that move up when you hold and move down when you release, meaning you need to fly at an absolute perfect speed to pass this spam challenge. We got some more impossible wave spam and finally reach an Aeon Air challenge, the hardest one in existence probably. This uses a bug to make the mini wave even more extreme and 10 times as hard. Wow. This level here isn't too hard, since you only need to click 5 times a second to keep your wave intact. If it wasn't for the fact that it is 1 hour long. Let's move on to impossible spam again. This one being one of the final spam challenges ever done by a human. The following spam challenge has never been beaten before and uses a weird bug that makes your two players move away from each other. They are controlled individually, meaning you have to do this impossible spam while focusing on two players at the same time. It's probably higher on the list. On spot 84, we got the honor of the level Succumbent Circles spam, only having been done by a few people. Level 85 is Succumbent Circle spam again, this time not buffed but made invisible. Our next level is called Septuple Spam Legend. This level where you need to do perfect timings in every click, 7 times in a row. Level Don't Even Verify It is a level that hasn't been beaten yet, but would be placed in around the top 5 hardest spam levels ever beaten. Just like a level called SoundCloud, which is a little harder, and once was the hardest spam level ever defeated. After this we got the third hardest spam level ever beaten, this one. The second hardest spam level ever beaten, this one. And the hardest spam level ever beaten by anyone, named Cherry Moya. You need to perfectly click 20 times per second here for the entire wave part. From here on out, nothing has been beaten. First up, we got the old version of Slaughterhouse, which basically is just very extreme spam parts that no human is ever going to do. After that we have the End of Silent Circles, one of the most popular impossible levels. And it actually is humanly possible, since you can beat it when clicking 15 times per second perfectly. For level 95, we got Kai Guy's beautiful blast processing spam, being buffed to being absolutely impossible. 96 is only a couple seconds long, but in this level you have to click thousands of times per second, which no one is ever going to do. On spot 97 we got this abomination. I'm not sure how to even explain what's going on. And on spot 98 we have the hardest spam level ever made in the entire existence of Geometry Dash, called the Lorem Eterna. But I lied. The actual hardest spam gap ever made is almost exactly as big as the wave itself, making it almost impossible to pass it. It's called Super Meso Chamber. Oh, I forgot level 100. That is you subscribing to the channel. Die. Get scammed.